my faith. What you gonna do if it hits the fan? If things don't go according to your plan, what you gonna do if they don't like the song you sang? And they don't like the message that you bring. Keep my faith. Keep my faith. Keep my faith. Keep my faith. Assurance of all things hoped and prayed for. Natural force that will break down any door. When your confidence takes a blow, hold true to what you know. All things are possible, all things are probable. You only need the size of a mustard seed. When the going gets tough, you gotta show the right stuff. You already got enough. You're gonna make a correction, point it in the right direction. Remember this in all you do. God has a plan for you. When others let you down, keep your feet on the ground and keep your judgment sound. Check this out. Despite what others may say or do, don't you know the greatest enemy lives inside of you? Thoughts of negativity, anger, addiction, choosing to live with drama and fiction. Keep the eye watch on your thoughts and your feelings. Keep your eyes on the prize and all your dealings. Sit in negativity. Lead to your disbelief. Sit in negativity. Lead to your disbelief.
the glory of the silent thunder unfolding from down under. Touch it and under. Oh, right here is where we take a stand. Take compassion for our fellow man.
Not yet.
Oh, it's a new day. It's a new day. All together, hand in hand. It's a new sing our love across the land. Right here, we're making a difference.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of Metairie on this beautiful Palm Sunday. Join us in song this morning as we celebrate the life and the presence of God within each and every one of us. And everybody watching us online, welcome. Get in the mood with us. You probably remember this song. Yeah. Celebrate your life. Celebrate your life. Come on, come on. Let's celebrate. Celebrate your life. Come on, come on. Yeah. There you go.
There's a party
Going on right here. A celebration to last throughout the year.
so bring your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna celebrate your life with you.
Come on, let's celebration.
Let's gonna celebrate and have a good time.
Celebration. There you go. We're gonna celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on. Come on. Wahoo. It's a celebration. Celebrate your life. Let's sing that, y'all. Celebrate your life. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Let's celebrate. Celebrate your life. Come on. So we welcome everybody to Unity of Metairie. We are a loving, beautiful, spiritual family, honoring all lifestyles, all religions, all spiritual paths. We believe that the presence of God, of life, is in every living being, and so we celebrate that life this morning. We are all part of a beautiful tapestry that is life, and we welcome you this morning. Welcome everybody on Facebook. Welcome everybody in the room. We've come together for a big love fest today on this big, beautiful Palm Sunday. So it's time to come together, y'all. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on. Say your big squeal. Yeah, it's a celebration. All right, y'all, let's get some hugs and handshakes from our spiritual family this morning. Welcome, everybody, y'all. Take just a moment to say hello. Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times. Come on. Celebration.
Welcome to Unity of Metairie. And for those of you joining us on Facebook, welcome. My name is Shelley. I'd like to welcome you to our service this morning. I'd first like to ask if there are any visitors that are visiting us with us today for the first time. Not here today? Okay. We might have some new visitors on Facebook. And if you are joining us for the first time, we'd like to say welcome. As you may know, Unity is not a religion, it's a philosophy. And it's a philosophy that teaches us about healing, wellness, about being one with each other and one in the universe. It's a beautiful philosophy that will show you a way to live, but not tell you how to live. We always let people figure that out for themselves. I'd also like to invite any children to come up for the children blessing, please.
All right, these girls were singing so good today. Isn't that awesome?
If you join me in the children blessing. Children of light,
We bless you. We see you loved, guided, and protected by God's presence.
And in New Orleans style.
We love you hard, hard, hard. We swear to God.
I'm going to ask the children to stay up in front for a moment. And today is birthday Sunday. So is there anyone that we can celebrate the day of your birthday with today? Crystal. Happy birthday, Crystal.
Anybody with a birthday in April? Any other birthday babies? Any April babies? All right, Lisa. Yay. We're going to sing to them this morning, and we have birthday cake at the end of the service. So yummy, 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 yummy. And when we get to that part, we say, happy birthday, God loves you. Because normally when we get to that, everybody goes, yeah, well, so we'll say God loves you at that part. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God loves you. Happy birthday to you. And many more. All right, happy birthday, y'all.
We hope you have a wonderful day. We'd like to mention that we do have a children's program, so please feel free to bring your children or your grandchildren, and we'll teach them the same principles that we learn up here, except we're going to teach them in words and through activities that they understand. I'd like to also introduce our ministry team today. Jack Fowler will be leading us in our music and meditation and with a beautiful truth lesson. And then also Steve Rivera will be reading our daily word today. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Let's all just take a big, deep breath as we become centered here and now. On this day that many people around the world refer to as Holy Week, but we believe that every day is holy. Every day is an opportunity for us to remember and awaken to that divine presence within us. So as best you can, just relax, leaving all issues and thoughts and regrets and concerns and schedule at the door. Everything's going to work out exactly as it should as we bring all of our energy and focus here and now to this space, knowing that this group of people in this space and this time will never, ever happen exactly like this again. So this is a holy time. This is a sacred time. So we relax, breathe in with gratitude, saying thank you, God, as we listen to these inspiring thoughts from our daily word.
Sunday, April 14th, 2019. Today's daily word is hope for this Palm Sunday. The Spirit of God dwells in me, and I am made perfect. The gospel tells the story of Jesus entering Jerusalem riding on a donkey, welcomed by crowds spreading palm branches and even their cloaks in his path. His followers found hope of liberation from oppression. Today, a new order of things begins in my life. Like the crowds welcoming Jesus with shouts of Hosanna, I welcome a renewed awareness of I am, my Christ nature. In this awareness, my hope of release from limitation is released. The Spirit of God dwells in me, and I am made perfect. anchored in spiritual peace, wisdom, wholeness, abundance, and harmony. I am grateful for my ever-expanding realization of God as my source. Today's scripture for today is from Psalm 62:5. For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is from him.
So we take these words in today as we continue on our journey of unbecoming all of those things that we are not. As we celebrate love's arrival today, on this Palm Sunday, as we realize that we are the ones that are being celebrated. We are the very presence of God in this world. And right here, right now, we are exactly where we need to be. So we relax, opening our hearts and our minds, beginning to feel the very presence of love come from within us as we celebrate this morning that divine presence in each other right here, right now. Right here, right now, we have come into the presence of God, and our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. Right here, right now, we have come into the presence of God, and our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. I'd like to ask Steve to come up one more time to light this candle here. This candle represents the consciousness of the Christ that is within each and every one of us. It doesn't represent the man that we knew as Jesus, but it represents the presence of God that he brought into this world so clearly. He said, I and the Father and in you. This candle represents the oneness that we all are part of. Each a part of this beautiful tapestry that is life. Each one of us an individualized expression with all of the power and love and peace and joy available that is God, created in its image and likeness. So this candle burns today, symbolically reminding us of who we are, for we have forgotten. So this morning we celebrate our awakening. We celebrate our remembering with gratitude that what God has created whole and perfect and complete, nothing can tear apart. Within you in this very moment is a power greater than anything in this world. It is greater than any dis-ease, greater than any problem, greater than any issue. Within you this moment is perfect peace. So we ask ourselves, why don't I always feel that peace? Because it's up to us to look within and find what is there. Realizing that within you is this peace and this love, but it's up to you to turn within into the stillness and to see your true self, your true identity, your essential self, spirit, with all of the qualities of God, timeless, ageless, forever loving and forever loved. So we move into a deeper time of prayer and meditation to access this sacred space within us, this vast space where we find our true self. And I would invite you to go ahead and silence your cell phone or anything else that might make a noise as we create this sacred space together. Just begin to surrender to this moment. As best you can, let go of any thoughts or regrets, any thoughts or ideas about your schedule this afternoon or where you may be, maybe something that was said or happened this week. And just allow yourself to become present here and now, bringing all of your scattered energy to this one holy instant. For everything that you need is right here. Everything you need is within you in the stillness. Where that still, small voice lives. Waiting patiently for us to turn within and see. Waiting patiently for you to turn within so it can remind you that all is well. No matter what appears to be happening in your life, in the world that is temporary and passing, who you really are in this vast space within, all is truly well. So we take a moment together to move into that sacred space, allowing ourselves to become still and quiet and empty. For in the silence we find God, we find ourselves. So I would invite you to become still and quiet in your chair, in any position that's comfortable for you. And to begin to breathe consciously, watching your breath as you breathe deeply. Breathing in, watching the air come into your lungs. And then letting go. Become the watcher of your breath. Using your breath as a mantra. If you find it hard for your mind to become still and quiet, just simply begin to pay attention to your breath. This is all very simple. Just moving into the stillness gently and easily. You begin to feel your body become lighter and still. Letting go of any tension or stress you're holding on to. Feel your legs become free. Release any tension from your abdomen. Any stress or tension you may have in your chest. Allow your shoulders to gently drop. Release any tension from your neck and your forehead. Feel your face begin to soften. As you become still, present, here and now. Breathing in the breath of God. Breathing in the life of God. Breathing in the light of God. Use this breath to take you deeper into the stillness. Surrendering to this moment. And Just as your body has relaxed, take just a moment and see what thoughts may be there in your mind. Just notice how many ideas try to pop up and distract you. Begin to realize how many thoughts are running through your mind all throughout the day. And then again, realize that you have the choice for your mind to become still. You can make a choice for your mind to become empty, open. As you gently begin to let all of those thoughts fall away, into the nothingness. Begin to notice the space between your thoughts. Begin to notice this space expanding. Notice how much time happens between each of your thoughts. For this space between your thoughts, there is a gap. In this sacred space, there's an entryway into your true, essential self. The part of you that is still exactly as God created it, in wholeness and perfection. This, your true self, was here before you were born into this physical experience. It is within you now, and it is the only thing you will leave with when you leave this temporary experience. It is your true self. For who you are is timeless and ageless. Who you really are knows nothing of sorrow and sadness or death or sickness or lack. Completely exists in fullness and in wholeness. And we begin to see and experience this wholeness more clearly as we move into the silence, into the stillness, into that place beyond words, that place beyond the world, beyond your physical body. This vast, sacred, beautiful wholeness that you are, the beloved. Moving even more deeply into the silence. Allow yourself to become completely empty. Empty. Breathing in the breath of God. As we rest, in the silence. from this beautiful place of stillness, we are left with gratitude. The greatest gratitude that there is. And that is, no matter what happens in our life, on our journey, no matter what has happened through all of history, and no matter what is to come, that who you really are will always be just as God created you. Nothing in this world, past, present, or to come, can change what God has created whole. So today, my prayer is that we begin to awaken to this truth, letting go of all false premises of littleness, of smallness, and begin to recognize our magnificence as children of God. For everything you see in this world will pass away, and the only thing that remains is the love that you are, the peace that you are, the presence of God that you are. So on this Palm Sunday, we recognize and celebrate this truth. Thank you, God. And for this holy time together with gratitude, and so it is. So once again, good morning, everyone. How beautiful was that? Thank you for sharing in that journey within. Are you feeling good today? I'm feeling extra good today. So I do have my weekly cat report. My little Oliver turned 3 yesterday. And in the insanity that is me and the way I love animals, there was a party. Actually, there were 2 parties. And he got all kinds of presents. And, I was all upset because I went to Petco down here on Veterans Boulevard. And they had this, I don't know if you've been there in a while, but they've totally rearranged it. And they had this buffet, it looked like. And it looked like people food. There was a cookie and it had some frosting on it. And I thought, wow, like I would eat that, It was really tasty. And I thought, how perfect, because it's Oliver's birthday and I had not thought about getting him a cake. He had all these toys and had been celebrating. And I thought, well, let me get one of these little things and he'll have a cake, one of these little cookies. And of course I went up and the clerk said, these are only for dogs. I thought, how discriminatory. I think I want to start a petition. I am. Would you sign on and help me? That's going to become my life's mission. So it's been so joyful. I don't know if it's worth the time. I don't know. What were you saying, Paul? Yeah, they are finicky. Yeah, a meat cake, yes. Well, my Oliver will eat just about anything. But it's been so joyful. And, what I find when I get older, and this is a good thing, I find I get so much joy from little things, from little tiny things. When I was younger, I would look for like all the big things and the big honking things, like maybe winning the lottery, and there's so much joy in the little tiny things. I said, how can I be so joyful about this little cat? And I even got him a card. I mean, it's really an illness. And I wrote out the card, to him from me, like he could read it. And I found this little card. It said, to my little birthday boy, who's 3 years old. Now, obviously, that was for a child. But I went way overboard. But I'm just still feeling the joy of that and excited. How many people have been able to go to the French Quarter Festival? Wow, I saw Rick. Oh, we were eating fried rice together So good. That's also been joyful. As you know, I live right in the quarter, so I can't avoid it. And it's such a wonderful festival, and it's all still free. Of course, you pay for the food, but so just had a lot of music and joy going on, and so I feel extra good today. And I slept really, really well last night and had an extra cup of coffee. So you may be in for a treat today if we stay till 3 o'clock. So this week, as I mentioned earlier, is what many traditions, and especially current Christian traditions, calls the Holy Week. You hear different names for it. And what I love about Unity and other teachings is, which was very helpful for me growing up in a more traditional Christian environment, a more traditional religious environment, is the better word to say. I had to push all that stuff away for a little bit because it didn't suit me for just a minute. And I'm so grateful now. And I have to say, it didn't suit me not because of what it said. It didn't suit me because what people told me about it and used some of those very words to make me feel ashamed and feel like there was something wrong with me. It's kind of a confusing thing to tell a child, God loves you more than anything else, but if you don't do exactly what it says, you're in deep, deep trouble. So, so the message wasn't what I was turned off by. It was just the way it was interpreted through others to me, which is interesting because my dad was a minister, and it wasn't just my dad or anything like that. It was just the whole collection, the cosmic collection of what it meant to be a Christian. And by the way, I'm just thinking about this. This is kind of a revelation. I do consider myself a Christian. Wow. I just said that out loud. I just came out. But I'm a Christian in the way that I feel like following the path of Jesus would be like, to be more loving and to be more in service and to do the things that he did in his ministry. So that was kind of like a revelation. Wow. I'm a Christian. Wow. Thank you. And so back to the point. So what I love about these teachings of Unity and other groups is that it's been able to reframe some of these stories in a way that suited what felt right for me, so I didn't have to throw all of it away. I was actually able to embrace it and just look at it differently and realize, as we know, that Jesus and other spiritual teachers, because of the times that they lived, weren't able to say directly what they wanted to say, so they used stories. And they use parables. A lot of the Bible, especially the New Testament, is just parables. And the parables are used to tell these great truths in a way that, were acceptable so they wouldn't get executed or whatever. They were able to talk about these things and tell them through stories. So that seemed kind of innocent. And so what I've come to realize is that since these are parables and these are stories, there's actually deeper meanings to them than what we see on the surface. So, for instance, Palm Sunday is a day. Does everyone even know why it's called Palm Sunday and what it celebrates? It's Jesus' triumphant return, and he was so loved by the people at that point that they welcomed him with palms, and he came into the city, and there was a big celebration, and he was very welcomed in. And what I've learned, which I think is so cool about Jesus' story, is that Jesus' story is our story. Everything that Jesus went through symbolizes us, up through the birth that we celebrate at Christmas, through now, the resurrection. It's our story. It's our story of awakening and remembering, because Jesus came to tell us some truths, and one of those, that is, there is no death. Have you ever pondered this question? So if Jesus didn't believe in death, which he clearly did not believe in death at all, would he think it was strange that you ask him that he was raised from the dead? Isn't that an interesting question? Like, how would you respond to that? If you don't believe in death, how can you be raised from it? I would love to see into the workings of his brilliant spiritual mind and see what he actually thought about that. Do you understand what I'm asking? So if you don't believe in death, how can you raise yourself from the dead if it doesn't exist? So, I was always a curious little kid and got in trouble for it all the time because I asked the wrong questions. Anybody else was like that? How many kids were like rebellious and they said, okay, it's this and this and this. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, because it is. I'm like, no, why? I've mentioned to you before that the first time I got in trouble was when we were talking about the Garden of Eden in Sunday school, and I was learning biology in school at the same time, and all of a sudden my little brain was saying, okay, so there was this woman named Eve, and there was this man named Adam, and they had 2 kids. One of them killed the other one, so now there's one son, and there's a father and a mother. Okay, now what happens then? Like, where did we, what? It's kind of messed up. If you accept that story at face value, And so when I asked that question, though, it was not good. This is the mystery of God, we say. Well, I don't want the mystery of God. I want to know. Now, there are some things that are the mystery of God. There are some things we don't understand. But, my intellectual brain wanted to say, well, that doesn't make sense. So I wouldn't accept anything just on face value. And I believe that that's when my spiritual journey first started when I was a kid, because some of the things that I was being told just didn't make sense intellectually. It had nothing to do with spirituality or religion. It's just it didn't make sense logically. It just didn't make sense. And I kept thinking, well, something's not right with this picture. So anyway, that's a whole other topic itself. But as we talk about today, what I'm going to speak about is Palm Sunday and what it means to us metaphysically, and how, as I said before, the stories and the parables that are told, how it represents our journey and our awakening to who we really are. Because if you like it or not, you can never be any more holier than you are right now in this moment. You will never be any more holier than you are right now. And I say like it or not because some people get fidgety about even saying I am holy. But it is true. If you were created in the image and likeness of God, there's nothing more holy than God, then you're like God's stuff, so you have to be holy. The issue lies in that we have forgotten that and fallen asleep to that truth. And so we buy into the illusion of lack, and we buy into the illusion of death, and we buy into all these wonderful, facetiously wonderful things that aren't even true. And so our journey is awakening to the truth, which is already there. You don't have to find anything. You just have to chip away all the things that are not you. And so the Palm Sunday story is a representation of a way that we can look at the story differently and reinterpret it and show that it is our story and that it is part of our awakening. So I love this little story here. So these two, an old couple were sitting around and they were retired. And so as they got older, they started thinking about death more, as you do, as you get older, I guess, I still feel like I'm 15, so I don't know. I don't know what that's going to feel like. Do you just feel like yourself? You know what I mean? I just feel like myself. When I see people on Facebook that are my age from my high school, I'm like, darn, they so old. They're so old. And they're talking about their grandkids going to college, and I'm like, it cannot be. I'm not that age. I'm still 19. And that's another whole talk, too. We're going to a lot of stuff here. So anyway, this couple was talking as they were pondering what that would be like. And so now that they're retired, a long-time married couple are discussing all aspects of their future. What will you do if I die before you do? The husband asked the wife. After some thought, she said that she'd probably look for a house-sharing situation with 3 older single or widowed women who might be a little younger than herself, since she's quite active for her age. So she would get together, kind of like the Golden Girls, with some people, but some of them younger, some of the women younger, and they would, share a house or something and be together. And since she was so feisty, that the younger girls would work better. Then the wife turned to her husband and asked, "What will you do if I die first?" He replied, "Probably the same thing." Think about it. So anyway, we move on. I feel like Jimmy Fallon with a joke that bombed. It really is funny. So let's unpack the story of Palm Sunday. By the way, next week is Easter Sunday, so please come out. You don't have to come out as a Christian. No. Please come and bring people along. We normally have a really great crowd and a great time of celebration for Easter. And if you want to wear jeans, wear jeans. If you want to come with the big hats and all that stuff, you can do that too. If you want to dress up and put on your Easter costume, you can do that as well. So I'll be waiting for my white chocolate bunny. I've always loved white chocolate bunnies. But next week, please join us for Easter. It's going to be a really special and beautiful event together. So for Palm Sunday, let's unpack this and see. This is the great entrance, is another way you can talk about Jesus coming into the city and being welcomed by the people, and how that relates to us from a unity perspective, metaphysically reinterpreting the event. By the way, is it kind of cold in here? It is or not? Actually, I got a chill, so I know if I'm cold, y'all must be freezing. I don't think the air is on, is it, Weeby? I don't know. No heat. Just leave it as it is. So anyway, it'll work itself out. I was just wondering, just a quick question. Hey, thank you. I wondered why there was like this buzz in my ear for like the longest time. I thought it was going to be hot today, so I cut that on, and I'm like, zzz. Oh, wow, that feels so much better. Let's start over. Let's do the whole thing over now. So metaphysically, let's unpack the great entrance of Palm Sunday. So Jerusalem, where Jesus rode into, represents our abiding consciousness of inner peace. It's that permanent peace that is within us if we recognize it is there or not. There is the peace of God within us, just as I mentioned earlier, that you will never be more holier than you are right now. You will never be more peaceful than you are right now, but you have to be willing to recognize the peace that is there. And this is what's great about the peace of God. It's permanent. Doesn't rely on circumstances. Sometimes we feel peaceful if everything's just going right and things are going our way, and we're having one of those weeks where everything's just clicking on all cylinders and we feel peace. But the minute something happens, then we lose the peace for just a moment and you feel a little chaos. Well, this is the peace that passes understanding. This is the peace that can't be taken away. And we have to learn how, through our spiritual practice, how to experience that more often than we do, with it not being dependent on circumstances, that permanent peace that is always there. So Jerusalem represents this peace. So Jesus, at this stage in his ministry, represents the mature awareness of our Christ nature. So Jesus, in this story, is symbolic of us awakening to our true nature and letting go of any false ideas about ourselves, letting go of the things that no longer serve us, and I love the word that it says mature. So it's like matured. It's been growing like a plant, and now it's matured. He was totally, completely aware of who he was. And it got him in a lot of trouble because he would say things like, I am the Son of God. Now, he never said you were not the Son of God. He said, I am the Son of God. And in a roundabout way said everyone is. We put that on him, that he was the only one. Hence, that's caused thousands of years of all kinds of issues, which that's another whole talk too. But Jesus at this stage of his ministry represents the mature awareness of our Christ nature. And that's why many times he's referred to as Jesus Christ. I actually had a conversation with someone once, and they thought that Jesus' last name was Christ. So, it'd say, hey, Mr. Christ. But obviously, that's not true. I mean, the Christ word just represents that nature of divinity within all of us. And Jesus represented that as the way shower to show us what was possible. Now, do you know why he came into Jerusalem on a donkey? Because he came into, did you guys go to Sunday school? You're like, huh? Remember, he went into Jerusalem on a donkey, and they waved the palm fronds and etc. Because many other warriors and others would ride horses. And the reason he rode a donkey, because the donkey represents meekness and humility and peace, as opposed to marching in on a horse, which represents war and conflict. So he came in going like, okay, it's all good, it's all chill. I'm on my donkey, everything's fine. The palms that were waved signify spiritual strength, receptivity, and enthusiasm. I love this. I'd never really thought about this before, but the crowds, which they said there was a multitude of crowds there to welcome Jesus, usually refer to multitudes of material thoughts that are close to being raised to their higher spiritual essences. So the crowds refer to all of those thoughts that are there that, you begin to recognize, or at least I do, I can't speak for you, but I begin to recognize how many thoughts are going through my mind when I try to be still and quiet. Do you experience that when we try to meditate in here? It's really, really rare that we go into complete silence and our mind becomes completely still and empty. And you don't realize how many thoughts are going through your mind until you decide to try to be quiet. And all of a sudden it's like, they call that the monkey chatter and all kinds of names. But the crowds refer to those multitude of material thoughts that are close to being raised to their higher spiritual essences, to those thoughts that are getting very close to remembering and awakening to the truth of who you are as a divine expression of God. Now, it says that they sang hosannas. Now, I don't really know what hosannas are. Shelley knows a lot about music theory and stuff. What are hosannas? Well, the hosannas represent the harmonious energies within us that sense freedom from error thoughts. So basically, it's like a celebration that we begin to realize, and this is a very important part of our spiritual journey, is when at some point everyone in this room realized this. You realize, wow, through my thoughts and my intentions, I can actually change my life, and I can change the circumstances of my life. I am not a victim to anyone. I am not a victim to anyone. It's an exciting time. Do you remember when you first started recognizing the truth of this message and you let go of that victimness? So the hosannas represent the celebration that happens when you get hold of that truth and think, wow, I can really do something about this. The universe has my back. There's this presence within me. I can change. I can make a difference. And for a long time, I didn't know that. And that was a time that was, up until like my mid-20s, I had a lot of anxiety and depression because I thought that I was at the whim of the world and things that would happen to me. Do you remember the first time you started realizing these messages? And at some point you heard something. Someone said, you're the creator of your world, or something like that, or you read something in a book. Do you remember how liberating, even if you didn't get it right in that moment, you started, a little crack opened and you realized how liberating that was? And a lot of times that happens in a unity center like this, or a center for spiritual living. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here. It's so that we all, not only do we hear it the first time, but we all continue to grow and realize this, because it's a long journey for some of us from the head to the heart. To say, wow, I'm free and I can create what I want. But then to have it to where we're actually embodying it every day, it's difficult. I mean, it is for me. Anybody else a complete enlightened spiritual master that doesn't have to deal with that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is like, just to know something doesn't mean that you're practicing it fully or that you eat it fully. We would all explode into a big, beautiful ball of light if everything that we knew, all of a sudden we really believed. If everything you knew was true, if you really all of a sudden believed it, this room would explode and it would just be awesome. There'd be nothing but a puff of smoke on your shoes. So the trip to Jerusalem represents our intention to erase our attachment to the temptations of sense consciousness. So what this means is the trip to Jerusalem, we are tempted, and I believe that's what temptation was when the Bible talks about temptation, and Jesus was tempted. He was tempted to not believe that he was the holy child of God. When he went into the desert, I believe when he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan," that he definitely wasn't talking about, the Satan that some of us knew as a child, but he said, "Get behind me those thoughts that I've carried around for a long time that tell me that I'm limited and I'm unworthy." I love these T-shirts that they have in the French Quarter. It says, "Not today, Satan." Have you seen those? I love that. I think I'm going to get me one. Not today, Satan. And that's what this is talking about, where temptation from our standpoint, metaphysically, is when we're tempted to believe we're less than what we really are. That's what true temptation is. And so the trip to Jerusalem represents our intention to begin to erase these thoughts. The temple symbolizes our spiritually revitalized ego personality. So, and this is what's so cool about this is, we talk about the Spirit a lot in these things, but we have to remember that our body is our current temple of residence. So we can't just throw that out and say Spirit is everything. In the essence of truth, Spirit is everything. But still, you think you're living in a body so you can bring that holiness and that goodness and that joy to your physical body. We overlook that so many times. I know that I've overlooked that so many times in my life. I've focused so much on the spiritual, like the so-called spiritual side of things, that I forgot that, my body's supposed to feel good too. This is not some esoteric teaching that is completely useless to you. This is something that you can actually use. And when you begin to use your body for a purpose that is holy, to share these truths with others, then the body itself becomes a revitalized temple. Charles Fillmore, one of the founders of Unity, when he was 94 years old, said, "I fairly sizzle with zeal to get up out of bed in the morning to do what there needs to be done." That's what this is talking about. Do you want to sizzle when you're 94? Do you want to sizzle? Can I get an amen? Who, in their craziness, said that you're supposed to decline as you get older? Who made that up? Who even said that? And I love that we have these new models of examples to show us. And the Fillmores were definitely examples of this. The mother and the father, but the wife and husband team that were the co-founders of Unity, they lived these principles. And as they got older, they literally become more revitalized. And that is part of this story. The temple represents our spiritual revitalized body itself. Because I don't know about you, I focus more on spirit, and I tend to spend more time out here than in here in the body. However, I am coming in contact with the true idea that my body also deserves to feel good during this ride and to feel good during this journey. Do you know, some of you may have heard me mention this before, but Myrtle Fillmore, when she made her transition and passed away, whatever word you want to use for that, she was not sick, and there was no cause of death that they could put on her death certificate. And so they would not allow it to be. The powers that be, whoever they were, the coroner or whatever, said, well, you have to put something on here. You can't just say she meditated and flew out of her body back into the ethers to reconnect with spirit. Maybe one day we'll be able to say that. cause a fleeing, whatever it might be. What caused that? Well, they listened to spirit and decided it was time to rejoin with the ultimate power of life and drop their body, That'd freak everybody out. But her personal physician actually made up a disease to put on her death certificate, something she never had. That's how much she had invigorated spirit within her body to live into her late 80s and to have vitality in life. So this journey of Palm Sunday has been shown to us not only by Jesus. Jesus is the one that we use the story of, and it's the one we're most familiar with, but it has been shown to us by others like the Fillmores, by other spiritual masters like Buddha, others. You may have someone in your life that represents this story, that is an example to you of your awakening. Do you have anyone that when you're in their presence reminds you of who you really are, that sees the best part of you and the best version of yourself? Do you have someone that you're around that's like that? Well, if you don't, you need to get one. And avoid spending a lot of time with those that don't see the best version of you. And be with those in our life, and they may not even know that they're doing it. Because we know that presence means much more than words. Some of the most powerful times that I've had in hospitals with people that were sick or in hospice with people that were transitioning was just being in stillness and not saying anything. Because your presence means more than any word can ever convey. Just your presence of being there. And so this Palm Sunday, may we celebrate the arrival of love's presence. Now this is the thing. The presence of love is already within us, but we have blocked its awareness. And so this is more about removing blocks. That's what this message is about. You know, I call the talk Love's Arrival. However, that's how we think of it, as love is arriving, but the love is already there. It's who you are. It's the essence of who you really are. So it's just it's an unveiling. Maybe that's what I should have called it, unveiling love's presence. So this week, may we think about these things as we remember and come upon the Easter time and what that means for us. And I have a special talk about metaphysically what Easter means. And it's very powerful to know that our mind at any given time during our journey here in this world can awaken to who we are. And that's what the Easter story is about. The Easter story is about us becoming aware that within us, our mind is resurrected to the truth. Our mind is awakened and remembers who we are. So let's take just a moment in the stillness as we think of all of those around the world today that are honoring this time that we call Holy Week. But may we also recognize that every moment and every day and every instant is holy. For within you is this presence that's more powerful than anything else in this world. But may it become even more clear during this week and this time. I think about Jesus and the life that he lived and how at times he would have had to have been scared and fearful during this week as he knew what was going to happen. Yet how thrilled he was to know that the resurrection was just right around the corner. He came to show us that there is no death. He came to show us that we are not bodies. He came to show us that we are not limited. He came to remind us of our magnificence. He came to tell us that within us, at the very core of who we are holy, divine expressions of life, created in the image and likeness of God. So my prayer for all of us is that we allow and make space and are willing to let go of these false beliefs and allow ourselves to be awakened into the truth. May we celebrate with hosannas as we come in peace and service and humility, still embodying the greatest power that there is, greater than anything else in this world. May we all feel this presence more deeply this week. This presence of life, this presence of God. You are always guided. You are always protected. You are always safe. Held in the hands of grace. Forever safe in the arms of love. This is the truth about you. And this is the truth about me. And so it is. Amen and amen. So we come to the part of our service where we give to support our magnificent spiritual community. I am so grateful for everyone that gives, not only of finances and money, but everyone that gives of their time and their talent and volunteers. And we send a special prayer up for Bill, who we've missed him. You may have noticed he's not here. He's with his mother in California as she's beginning to make her transition. And we send out a big wave of love to him. May he know how much he's appreciated and loved and missed. And he's an example of someone that gives so freely to our spiritual community. So as we give today, may we give with an open heart, knowing that there is a flow of life in the universe. As we give, it is given back to us. We give freely, knowing that God is the source and substance of our supply. And so as tradition is here, we bring our tithes and offering forward and drop them in the basket there by all the lilies. If you prefer to stay seated, Joan has a little velveteen pouch, I guess is what we'll call that, and can bring it to you. Just simply raise your hand and she can meet you there. And for anyone that's watching us today on Facebook, you can just look at the post beyond what you're watching and streaming right now. One post below, there's a secure link where you can give. And we appreciate everyone online that continues to give and support our ministry. And for anyone in the room that would prefer to give electronically, you can also meet Joan in the Welcome Center and she can take a credit card from you there. So let's give with an open heart, knowing that we are an abundant spiritual community. We are a great idea in the mind of God. May we continue to know how grateful we are, not only for what we have, but all that we are. We are so, so blessed. We are so blessed. So as we give today, let us remember as we sing together how blessed we are, how grateful we are, how loved we are. So you say, thank you, God. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so. And once more, we are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed. And thank you for everyone that gives today, and thank you for everyone that gives online. Thank you so much. I love our spiritual community. I love all the changes and the evolution that we're going through and our wonderful new board and everything that's happening. So thank you. So I missed it earlier. Did we have someone here that's here for the first time? We didn't? Okay, awesome. Well, and anyone that's interested also on Facebook, if you're interested in learning more about Unity, you can contact us. You can leave a direct message on Facebook or give us a shout. Go to our website at www.unityofmetairie.com and find out about all that we do and all that we are. So just a few things, announcements before we head out for the week. I made this beautiful set of slides to show you for today, and somehow it exploded the computer. I don't know what happened, but it refused to take those slides. So we're not going to show them today. I just got to remember everything. But as usual, we have our Wednesday Faith Lift, we call it, at 6 p.m. Every Wednesday night. We have an hour of stillness and silence and music and guided words as we move into the deepness together. And then right after that, I facilitate a discussion on A Course in Miracles. Everyone is welcome. No experience is necessary. So come and join us on Wednesday night. Notice these beautiful, beautiful lilies up here, these Easter lilies. They will be up here, obviously, today and throughout the week, and next week, especially for Easter Sunday. Thank you, Annabelle, for working hard to find these beautiful ones. She said, well, I looked everywhere and I couldn't find any. At the last minute, she found a gold mine of beautiful. They're so healthy and beautiful. I can't believe it. They're awesome. They're beautiful. So we do a special thing on Easter every year where if you would like to have one of these lilies in honor or in memory of someone, of a loved one, we'll have a special bulletin next week that will have all these names printed. It's $15, and you get to take the lily with you, and you can pay for that and sign up for that out in the Welcome Center as you leave. It's a beautiful ceremony that we have every Easter Sunday. So if you'd like to be a part of that, sign up for that, and we'll, if you can't pay for it today, we'll just contact you during the week, and you'll be able to take the lily with you. So please do that. We still have maybe 5 or 6 left that will be available. So we have a movie night coming up. We're revitalizing a movie night for the quarter on May 3rd, save the date, at 7 p.m. We're going to be showing Awake, which is this awesome documentary about Yogananda and about his journey of bringing yoga and meditation to the West. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So please plan to join us. We'll have some popcorn and Raisinets and snow caps, and make it like a theater in here and cut up the speakers. So join us for that. Please put it in your book, May 3rd, excuse me, at 7 p.m. I know that there's something else. You guys help me. Anything else you can think of, Shelley? Oh, what was that? Yes, Lunch Bunch. Where is Samantha? At Semolina's. You guys know Semolina's is behind Target over in that area. It's a great pasta restaurant, and meet there soon after we have lunch. After we finish here, I'm starting to get hungry. I'm thinking about lunch. And Sam will go get a table. So it's a great time to get to know everybody through Lunch Bunch. And I think that's about it. That's all for today. Please join us next week for Easter. It's going to be a fabulous day. And thank you for spending your Sunday with us here. I know there's a million other things you could have done. If you're able to, go to the French Quarter Festival this afternoon. It's really just awesome. So let's stand together as we're going to end our service with this beautiful song by Karen Drucker, realizing that we are this presence of God in the world. You are the light. You are the hand. You're the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. This is an affirmation of truth for all of us. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. And we are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. And I am the heart, and I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth. And who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. Once more, let's do We Are as a community. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. We're a blessing to the world. You're a blessing to the world. So we say our prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. We are, God is, and all is well. Say and have some birthday cake, you guys, and meet us at Semolina's for lunch. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
All is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, yeah, life is good. I am truly blessed. I'll let the light shine so that everyone can see. I'll let love divine daily flow through me. Oh, all is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, yeah, life is good, and I am truly blessed. Help me be the change, yeah, the change we want to see, and let harmony flow daily through me. All is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, yeah, life is good, and I am truly blessed. Yeah,
All is well, yeah, life is good. I am truly blessed.
come on, everybody.
All is well, yeah, life is good. I am truly
I
blessed.
know I'm blessed.
All is well, yeah, life is good. I am truly blessed.
Yes, I
All is
am.
well, yeah, life is good. I am truly blessed.
I'll let love shine so that everyone can see. I'll let love divine daily flow through me. All is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, yeah, life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, life is good, and I am truly blessed. Yes, I am. All is well, yeah, life is good, I am truly blessed. I know I'm blessed. I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed. Take a look at the person next to you